think so. I can't. Despacito.
Now, who's going to massage your arm halfway through this?
That's a good question. I don't know.
But you're in for the long haul, huh?
I'm in for the long haul, yes.
Okay. No substitute, huh? Okay.
Wait. That's just another question.
You got him?
Am I using the mic for the people at the blue tables too? Oh, just white table and the podium? 10-4.
Hollow, they're on the third question. First two are easy. What's that?
10-4, I figured it out too.
What are you doing? You're a man of leisure.
Yeah, that's exactly my idea.
Is the audio good over here? Like that or straight over? You guys zooming on the podium too?
away. And if you do have questions that you want us to filter through,
Oh no, yeah, you can.
I see Paul Lesson coming in. There's Paul Lesson right there. Then we'll collect those questions and filter through. 5 minutes and counting.
Doing great. What's this called?
Hey Jeff, did you get that shot?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for our 2014 Cypress City Council Candidates Forum. Looks like we have a pretty good crowd, and we're still waiting for one of our candidates to be here, but we're going to get started. As you probably know, the Cypress Chamber of Commerce, in association with Cypress College, the Political Science Department, and the Political Science Club, are putting on this forum, so we hope that you do enjoy it. I do want to point out that a lot of help from Nina DeMarchi, Dean of Social Sciences, here to help us put this on. Sometimes everything looks real easy, and she makes it very easy. I appreciate all the help that you've given to us. As we have said, there are 7 candidates for 3 seats that are coming up in the November 4 election. So hopefully questions are asked tonight that will help you make a decision, or certainly give you a focus on the candidates that you feel will best serve us in the city of Cypress. As you entered the room, I think I mentioned this a couple of times. If you have a question and you want us to answer to the best of our ability, at least, or the candidates will, pass it to one of our volunteer students. We have a couple students that are helping us with that. We already have received several, so our screeners, as opposed to screamers, will be helping us there. I would like to acknowledge that we have 4 members of our current city council here. Mayor Leroy Mills. Mayor Pro Tem Rob Johnson. Rob, where are you? And council members Josh Narayan, Dr. Narayan. And Mayor York. I know you're here. I'm sorry. At this time, I would like to introduce the president of Cypress College, Bob Simpson, for a few words of encouragement.
It is a privilege to me to serve as the president of Cypress College. Truly a dynamic college, and to be able to provide the venue for this discussion tonight, we really are honored. I was speaking just briefly with Mayor Mills beforehand, and I have to admit I'm a political junkie. And in this political season, especially when I actually mark my ballot, the profound power of our democracy, the power that we hold in our hands. I mean, just think of it. In a 6-year period of time, every elected official, locally, state level, nationally, if we the people decide, we can make changes. And I always find it interesting. I go through the entire ballot. I leave nothing unchecked because I have always been aware that where we can really have the most direct impact on our lives is at the local level. And to see this kind of a turnout for this discussion tonight, understanding that it is the good people who were introduced before and whoever of the 3 will be elected, they will have a profound impact on our lives locally, much more so maybe than our local congressman or state senator. And so to see this kind of turnout and enthusiasm for what I consider to be a true blessing that we get to engage in our democracy. It's again, is a privilege for me to be here to host this event and to host you, and I look forward to a lively discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, as I said, if you have a question that you do want to have us look at, you still have time to do that, but as we are getting more and more questions, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get them all in. We hope to get in as many as we can in this small amount of time. I'm going to introduce our candidates, and the format here is going to be each candidate will have a minute and a half as an introduction. We'll ask questions. They will have 1 minute to answer that question. They will all answer the same question. It's not a directive question, just one person, and a minute and a half for their concluding remarks. We have with us tonight as our screening committee, Dave Wasner, who's dean here at the college, and Bob Snow, formerly of the Boeing Company. So make sure that they can read these questions, because they're going to pass them on to me, and if I can't read them, trouble. Okay, political science department people are going to be taping this. I'll just read to you that if you want to see it's a live tape, will be available on the Cypress College website, Chronicle.com, also on YouTube.com, on CY from Media Network. So this is something that you can get right off of the Cypress College website. Okay, go ahead and thank you very much for our volunteers that take the time out of their day, and obviously the people who are from the journalism department who are helping Pacer, John Pete, Nancy Killingstad, Stacy Berry, Jay Sandy, Larry Smith, Paul Morales, and Mike Shaw, who is now with us.
Sorry about that.
So we are going to start in numerical order as by draw, and I'm going to ask John Pete. He has 1.5 minutes for his opening statement, and then we'll go to number 2, number 3 through 7. John.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come out here and discuss issues that are of importance to all of us. My wife Bonnie and I have been married for 28 years. We live here in Cypress. We have one child who's 22 years old, Michael, and Michael is a special needs child. We've lived here in the city for 17 years, but our city roots really go much deeper. Bonnie grew up here in the city on a dairy that, which is at the Swain Elementary School. Thank you. Swain Elementary School was a dairy that she grew up on, and the Straight Talk Clinic house on Camp Street was her first home. And I spent a lot of time as a child visiting my grandparents who lived here as well. So we've both seen the city grow over the years and watched it prosper. As a member of the City Council, I will focus on the things that I think make Cypress a great place to live and work. Those would be excellent schools. We have great schools, and I want to make sure that we keep those. We have strong public safety, and I want to ensure that that's continued. I want to make sure that we continue to effectively manage our city. We have a great city. It's well run, and I want to ensure that we continue to do that. And we have a really strong local economy with a business-friendly environment. I want to continue to support the business-friendly environment that we have here. I think it would be a good candidate because, as I mentioned, we've lived here a long time as a family, and I'm passionate about making sure that we continue the quality of life that we have, that we all enjoy here, which are reasons why most of us are here. I've been active in the community with the Boys and Girls Club, Cypress Grace Church, Cypress Youth Baseball, the Champion Baseball program. I have a record of building and growing programs that benefit the community and help folks out. And I've been working for 28 years at Raytheon, so I have a lot of business acumen, and I have a lot of experience in managing, budgeting, strategic planning, thinking about the future. And I think I can bring all of those things to the council and help continue to run the city effectively. I'm number 4 on your ballot, but I think I'm number 1 for the city. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Nancy Killingstad. Nancy?
Good evening. As he said, my name is Nancy Killingstad. I've lived here in Cypress for 52 years now. My family still lives here. I've been married for 24 years to my husband, Steve Killingstad. What I love about Cypress is that it's kind of it's a home, it's a town-like community. It's a lovely community to be a part of. We have a great school district, so we have a wonderful educational system. We have a great police department, and they help provide a safe place for us to live. Cypress is a nice community to live in, as I've said, and the people who live here care about their city, and they want to know what's going on in it. So we have a lot of people who need to be involved with communication with the city council and what's taking place. As your city council member, I'll be able to be a part of the processes that ensure that these aspects of Cypress will continue and be improved upon as the city grows and moves forward into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next candidate, Stacy Berry. Stacy?
Good evening. My name is Stacy Berry. I am running for Cypress City Council. And I believe it's important for you to know that I didn't come to this decision lightly. It has actually been well over a year of deep concentration, consideration, talking to many people in our community. And because I'm a woman of faith, a lot of prayer as well. I wanted to sure that this was the right thing, not only for me and my family, but for the community here in Cypress. I share this with you because I want you to know that it isn't something I take lightly, I didn't jump into, and I take it as a tremendous responsibility to represent all of you. I'm running for city council because I care about the city of Cypress. My family and I have been incredibly blessed to call Cypress our home. Cypress is exceptional in that we're a city of nearly 50,000 residents, and yet we somehow manage to maintain that small town feel. I believe it's vital that we sustain this quality of life. Through my professional experience as well as my extensive involvement in the community, I've had the privilege of working with a true cross-section of people and organizations. I've worked with many members of the city staff throughout the years and have been attending council meetings regularly for well over a year now. So I'm knowledgeable about the city's operations and the inner workings between staff and council. I'm running a lean grassroots campaign, which means I'm not accepting contributions from any special interest groups, only individual supporters. It's important to me to run a hands-on campaign where I'm personally involved every step of the way with no real or perceived obligations. I believe you will hear tonight why I, Stacey Berry, am the most prepared candidate to serve as one of your new city council members. Thank you very much.
Next candidate is Jason. Jay?
Good evening. I want to thank the Chamber and Cypress College for hosting this forum. I'm a longtime Cypress resident and an attorney. My literature details my bio and my civic involvement, so please feel free to pick it up on your way out. Cypress is a great city, and I'm running to keep it that way. I'm a fiscal conservative, which means balanced budgets, no new taxes, and rainy day savings. My top priorities are a strong police force and a well-maintained infrastructure. I will fight to shepherd responsible development of our remaining open spaces. This will require the input of all stakeholders and most importantly, the residents. No special interest is going to be able to buy my vote, and that is why my campaign is self-funded. If elected, my decisions on the City Council will be based solely, and I mean solely, on what is in the best interest of Cypress and the people who live here. I ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm one on the ballot, and number one for the city. Thank you.
Next candidate is Larry Smith. Larry?
Good evening. My name is Larry Smith. I've lived in Cypress for 38 years. I'm married to a wonderful woman for 51 years. I have 3 great children, 3 beautiful granddaughters. I worked for Northrop Grumman for 42 years. Retired from there. Where do we go from here? My notes. I was 30 years at Northrop in various management positions. The last 10 years of that was in executive management, where I was responsible for multi-million-dollar programs and projects that were managed within to run our budgets. I will have the top secret for that job. I worked at LAPD for 10 years while I was working at Northrop. In my 12th year at Cypress Volunteer and Policing Program, it was my second term on the Traffic Commission as chairperson before I had to resign to run for City Council. Thank you very much.
Next candidate is Paulo Morales. Paulo?
Good morning. Sorry, for any of you that know me, a large part of my career here in the city is I work graveyard, so I'd just be getting out a briefing right about now. My name is Paul Morales. I I am here as a candidate to put myself before you as one of those that would very much love to be a part in representing you and helping make those decision processes in the city. I have lived in this city for 17 years. I can tell you when I first came and heard about Cypress, I had to look on a map, didn't know where it was. That was 25 years ago. Today, I know so much about this city, I'm the guy that pretty much tells people what we're all about. I can tell you that a large part of it, as I've just mentioned, has been serving in public service. I recently retired from the police department just 5 months ago, and I miss that terribly, terribly. I can tell you that that's one of the reasons I'm here. Public service, I learned that from my parents, I learned that from many people in my lives, and this is another reason, another chance to be a direct part of the city processes. I know that others have said they've attended meetings, I know that others have said they've done many things. So have I, but I've also been a direct process, part of those processes here in the city. And I want very much to be a part of those processes as they continue. So if elected, what am I looking to do? Well, our city is already fiscally well. We all know that. Part of that, what I want to be able to do, is to make sure we stay there, have that level of preparedness. I also want communication as a strong part of my platform, and that's getting everyone to know, to understand, but also two-way, to have all of you be a part of that as well. I know what it takes to make Cypress a safe place to both live and work in. Help me to do that for all of you. Thank you.
Our seventh candidate, Mike Shopman. Mike?
Well, I came fast. I'm nervous. Practice in front of the mirror, but fortunately it's totally different when I have everybody here in front of me. So he just said he knows CPR and he brought his AED, so I think I'll be all right. But I'm glad that we have such a great choice of candidates. Unfortunately, we only get to pick 3. Oh, by the way, I'm Mike Shopman. Sorry about that. I've lived here in the city since 2006. I've been married for 11 years. I have 4 kids. My wife is currently pregnant, and I was hoping that she'd get here in time so I'd get less nervous, but she's not here yet. So what I want to talk about is, this is brought to us by the Chamber of Commerce, and I do own a business here in Cypress, and I've had a business here in Cypress for over 8 years. It's directly across the street from the City Hall, so I'm going to have very quick access to City Hall. One thing that I think is important is we need to get residents packing in those meetings that we have at the City Hall. Unfortunately, the time is kind of inconvenient for a lot of us, but I want to try to get those meetings televised, or at least live on the internet. And on there, I'm hoping that maybe we can get comments from people that are watching. With today's technology, it's really easy to partake in a lot of things. One thing that I did do in the car over here, on the drive over here, hope Morales doesn't try to give me a ticket, but I tried to set up a poll. And on my website, if you go to cypressmike.com/pizza, you can choose either pepperoni or cheese, and I'll have them out of my car or out here hopefully soon. So I want to try to do things like that where you can, be interactive with what choices I make by having you have easy access to me, either through the internet, tweeting, email, texting. Everybody's got my cell phone number. It's out there publicly. But go on that website, and if you want a slice of pizza, it'll be ready for you outside. So whatever we choose. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Once again, we're going to ask questions of all our candidates, the same questions, so the answer will be whatever you choose, of course. But we will go in order as well. We did 1 through 7. The second question will be 2 through 1. And we have our 2 young ladies helping us with time. Once again, as you're about 15 seconds from that time limit, kind of wrap it up. I want to also mention that we have another member of our city council, Doug Bailey. Doug, will you kind of wave to everybody here? Okay, we're going to get going now with our questions. The candidates will not come to the podium. They will be answering the questions where they're sitting. So question number 1 will be directed first to John. How have you prepared yourself to step into the role of a city council member?
Well, as I look at my experience through life, I think that I have a lot of experiences that I can draw upon. First, as I mentioned earlier, my work experience gives me a deep background in business management and planning for the future, so I'll draw upon those things. I, too, am a person of faith, and so I spend a lot of time in prayer considering decisions that need to be made. And when I need to make decisions, I spend time making sure that I understand all aspects of the issue, the pros, the cons, evaluate the benefits. I try not to make rational decisions. I make decisions based on facts and data. So I spend a lot of time considering all of the options when a decision needs to be made. And then I've just been, I've been involved in the community, so I'm working with the baseball program, with through church, through the Boys and Girls Club, so I have a good sense of the needs of the community, and I know how to work across a diverse group of folks so that you can make sure that you're addressing all of the concerns in a group and figuring out what is the best decision for that entire group. So I think I draw upon a lot of life experience, and I'd like to bring that to the council.
For myself, my experience of living in this city for 52 years now, I have a feel for the type of things that the residents like here, what they expect out of our hometown-like city. I've been meeting with a lot of people in the police department, with the city, with the school districts, kind of a cramming session on learning how everything works and how everything's intertwined with each other. I would say that the majority of my preparation is definitely my experience living in this community and seeing it from what it was to what it's become, and knowing that the citizens would like it to become more, but not so much that it would take away from its town-like atmosphere, and just being one of you, knowing what I want here, and knowing that I'm just the same as you are, just one of you. So.
I would say that I've been throwing things around. I'll just hold it. I would say I've been preparing for city council for the last 7 years, being very involved in the community in a variety of organizations, anything from the Women's Club, serving on the Boys and Girls Club board, as well as Cypress Children's Advocacy. My professional experience is in sales and marketing. That's my background, which dealt a lot with budgets, with contracting, and with dealing with many different types of people. And I think that's really important to be able to relate and communicate and have relationships with people from all age groups, all economic backgrounds, and education levels. We all need to work together for Cypress. I think we all want what's best for Cypress. I know I do, and I do believe that my community involvement coupled with my professional experience makes me extremely prepared to serve you.
Jay Sonde is my name, and I've lived in this city for 28 years, been married to my wife for 44. We've raised 2 children over here over the years. It's a beautiful city. I love the city. It's part of the reason why I'm running. But I've also been involved in the city all my life, literally. Even now, in the last few years, I've been president of the Kiwanis Club. I've been treasurer of the Cypress Police Foundation. I serve on the boards of the Chamber of Commerce, on the Los Alamitos Hospital Board. So I'm intimately involved with what's going on in the city. I'm aware of the needs of our people, and I'm, frankly, the reason I'm running is I want to keep it that way. I want to keep the city great as it is. And my professional background as an attorney would come in handy. I'm a good analyzer. I'm a good communicator. And I think all of these things need to be brought to bear. I love the city. It's been good to me. It's been good to my family. It's time for me to give back.
My past experience is going to lead me forward in this endeavor. 12 years inside and out, and I will do a great job for you.
So how would I step into that role? For me, I think it would be fairly easy in the sense that I've already worked with the city. I've been a part of the city. I've been a part of the city for 25 years as an employee, but not just someone that comes and goes. I've learned a lot of the many people that make this city. I've learned a lot of the businesses that are a part of the city that are integral. I too am a communicator. I made a career out of listening to people. Sometimes it's been difficult. Sometimes you're listening to some real difficult people, some very angry people, but that's been a part of my profession. I've made sure that I listen to them, because a lot of times it's because they haven't been heard. No one has taken the time to listen. And as a council person, clearly that's what I would do. It's a matter of listening to not just one person, many, many people, a lot of people that still have to get their points across. And from that, I would make those decisions. Along with the fact that I already know many of the people. I've interacted with so many in both the business and the residential communities. That's how I would step in. Thank you.
How do you want to come down? You can sit over here. I'm sorry. Go around. So how I prepared myself? Honestly, I think this is a position that anybody can do. It just takes signing up for it. It takes initiative. It takes energy. And it takes a lot of guts, unfortunately. I'm slowly growing those guts. But the preparedness comes in that we've all had parents here. We've all had employers. We know how to listen and be able to do what we're told to do. And that's going to come from the residents. Like I said earlier, I want input from the residents. I'm not going to be like, no, I won't say. I'm not going to say that I know all the answers. I don't know all the answers. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I would love to have input, make myself accessible to you to help me make those decisions. No matter what, I'm going to go with what the majority of our residents want. I'm not going to listen. If you look at the organizational chart for the city on the website, at the very top are you guys. It's the residents of Cypress. Then comes the city council, the city manager, and all the other departments. You guys are the leaders. You guys are the ones that make those choices. I'm going to be prepared by listening and making sure that I do what the Cypress residents want. Come sit over here.
Okay, we're going to go on to question number 2. This will be directed to Nancy first. The question then for all of you would be, what do you see as the greatest need for Cypress? Nancy?
I wish I could say that there was only one need. We're doing pretty good as we are, but we need to move forward. We need to be prepared for the future. We need to be able to make sure that our police department is equipped with what they need in order to keep our city safe. We need to move forward in our educational field. We need to make sure that we are cutting edge for our children, because our children are our future. And we have those 2 items in place. People are going to want to come here and live here, and the community is going to grow. I wish I could only say that there was one thing we needed to do, but I think what we do need is just to improve on what we already have, which is already great.
I'm going to try this again on the stand. I believe we here in Cypress are so blessed. I mean, we have a healthy, fiscally sound city. I think the need is to stay the course and to make sure that we maintain our reserves and only spend within our needs. If something isn't broke, you don't need to fix it. And I mean, we as new council members will be inheriting such a financially sound city that if we just continue on the path that we're on and basically don't mess it up, we're going to be in really good shape. Thank you.
I've said before, it's a great city. It's sound, it's healthy. We need to keep it that way, but we need to continue to strengthen it too, in ways that would make us even My wife and I actually were drawn to this city 28 years ago. Why? Because it was such a family-friendly city. It had a wonderful education system. It was a great place to live. All of the people that have spoken before me, they're right. The city works well. It's not broken. But we need to continue to keep it great, and we need to continue to do what we need to in terms of strengthening it. And by that I mean we need to be business friendly to accommodate businesses that would generate additional revenues for us so that we can use those revenues for the betterment of the city. Increase our financial reserves, continue with our balanced budgets. One of the things that come to my mind, because of my involvement that I've had over the last, I see a red flag over there. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll consider this another question. Thank you.
Well, I agree with the majority of the people up on this platform. We are a great city. It's doing the right things. If we follow in the footprints of their leading council persons, we'll just be fine. We need to follow in their footsteps. They've done a good job, and we need to continue with that.
So what is our greatest need? I think our greatest need simply is to make sure that we have what we need to continue the way that we are into the future. Not just the city, but also working with our schools. Working with those schools, making sure that they too have what they need to continue in the future. Yes, someone said it earlier that our children are our future. You know, I've been pretty lucky. Again, one of the reasons I came here, I started 25 years ago, as I said. I moved into the city 17 because after having worked here several years, loved the place, loved the city, loved all of the opportunities that were here. They helped me provide for my family, and this is the next step I'm taking to help ensure and work for all the other families. Some of the same opportunities that were here for me are there for others. Our greatest need is to maintain what we have and make sure we can continue that in the future. If that's by increasing that tax base that we have with the businesses, along with our schools, that's what I think our greatest need is, and I'll work towards that.
Sorry, I brought my kids today because I want them to see how the whole election process works. I think we got to get the youth involved in what's going on. Unfortunately, they're not as involved as I'd like them to be. But anyhow, these candidates up here, they've all mentioned that the city's fine, that continue doing what's going on. If that was the case, I wouldn't be running for city council. There are some problems there. Fiscally, yes, we're great at finances, honestly. But we don't listen to what the people want done here as residents. What I've seen and what I've witnessed is, unfortunately, it seems developers are the ones that we're continuing to listen to. And some of these developers have contributed to some of these candidates up here. And I'm fully funding my whole campaign myself. And I haven't spent that much money. I've done different things, tried to be innovative. But the truth is I'm here because I want to make sure that the future residents are able to have access to me. I want to make hours at City Hall, that maybe on the weekends, make it easy for you to come and see me. But you guys got my cell phone, you got my Twitter. I want to be accessible. I want to do what you guys want.
All right. I'll have a two-part answer. I think from a strategic standpoint, we need to select new leadership and good leadership and ensure that the leaders that we select will continue to run the city.
Two-part answer? Okay. I don't think it's fair to the rest of the candidates unless we all get two-part answers. So, I'm sorry.
It's time.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I'm an idiot. Sorry. I apologize. I was getting
Anyway,
jealous.
so you folks will have a chance to select the new leadership. On a more tactical level, I think the biggest need that the city has is for a significant upgrade to its IT technology. I'd like to see us spend some time in fixing our IT technology or improving it so that city services can be more available online, so that we can stream our city council meetings on the web, so that we can join the 21st century technologically. And so that's what I think the greatest tactical need is, but it's really good leadership for the future is our biggest strategic need.
Going on to question 3, we'll start with Stacey Berry. What are your thoughts about the city's current economic development strategy, and how important is it for the city to maintain strong efforts for proactive economic development.
I believe we do need to work to keep the businesses we have here in our community while attracting new businesses to the city as well. We must be proactive in fostering these relationships with our current businesses to ensure that they stay here in Cypress. Our Brace, Agent, and Spirit programs aimed at reaching out to the local businesses are a terrific start. I'd like to see these programs grow stronger and grow and perhaps become more streamlined so participation also grows. The city of Anaheim conducted an interesting research project back in 2011 looking at their processes for businesses coming into the city, opening businesses as well as running their businesses. And what they found was that all cities have difficulties being business friendly. We live in such a regulated state here in California that we do need to streamline as much as possible. I do believe that we could streamline more online, have some of the applications and permitting processes streamlined to help people feel like they're part of the process and they're not waiting around for answers as they come to our city to open their businesses. Thank you.
A good chunk of our revenues in the city come from sales tax. And much of our sales tax revenue comes from our businesses. It's very important for us to continue to bring in new businesses so that we can continue to add to our resources. We may be healthy, but we can be healthier. And that's where we need to be going. And part of the reason I want to mention that to you is, I got stopped earlier with a red flag, but to continue with what I was saying, we need more resources. Why? During this particular recession that we've had over the last few years, that has affected many of our departments and our budgets. The police department, for example, which is the one that we want to continue to strengthen the best way we know how, currently gets resources or revenues from or allocations from our city within its budget that really pays for their salaries, benefits, and that sort of thing. That department needs money in order to continue to have better equipment that is cutting edge equipment to keep it at the state of the art that there is. And it was for that reason 2-3 years ago, I think it was in 2010, that we started what's called a Cypress Police Foundation. The president of our police foundation is sitting in the audience here, David McDonald. This particular organization's sole purpose of existence is to raise money from private entities in order to be able to funnel it into our police department to strengthen it, to give it the kind of equipment that will keep it on the cutting edge. Over the last 4 years, I'm happy to say that particular foundation has raised close to a little under $100,000 to help in that regard. We need to do more. If our own city's budgets increased, if our revenues increased, we'd be able to do more to fund our police department through our own city's budgets. So, in short, I'm all in favor of good business development for our city.
I totally agree. We need to continue attracting new business, keeping the business we have here. We've got a good database. We need to keep that, attract new ones. There's several ways of doing that, but keeping track of keeping a good mix between the residential and the business is a very important thing, and we can't give up trying to attract more business.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that question. It's been a while. Sorry.
What are your thoughts about the current economic development strategy and how important it is for the city to maintain strong efforts for proactive economic development?
Clearly, it is important. We all know that. All of us have already talked about the importance of having that tax base. We've all talked about where the sources of revenues come for the city. Another part of that is, one of the things that our city does and does well is when we listen to some of the businesses that we have that are already here. And if that means even sometimes relocating them, finding them bigger places to help continue to grow, great. We've done that and we can continue to do that. We do have some open spaces. You know what's nice too about the city and continuing some of the processes that we have is it includes you, the people, citizens. They can vote. We saw that last year, and we're seeing that anytime these issues come up for open space development, it includes your voice. What is it that you'd like to do? You too are very much a part of that. So what we're doing, there's some great things. We want to continue in that way.
I'd like to apologize to John Pete. Showing up right at 6:30, I was confused. I thought I was the last one every time, so I was getting a little jealous there. But anyhow, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm the only business owner up here as a candidate, right, that owns a business here in Cypress. Am I right? Okay, you? All right, I'm one of two. So what I'm saying is I started my business before I even decided to move here, and I fell in love with the city. It's a great place to raise your kids. It has that small town feeling. I do believe we need to attract more businesses, and we're doing a pretty good job, but the one thing that I'm afraid of is we keep building these massive buildings to bring in these businesses, but then a few years later, a few months later, what I see is this for lease sign or for rent, and it just stays there. There's buildings throughout the city that aren't being utilized right now, and we need to try to work with people that own these properties, bring in the businesses. You go down Valley View, right at Valley View and Orange, is this beautiful small strip mall, and I think there might be like 2 or 3 businesses there, but I think they can accommodate at least 10. We just got to use the space that we have, and that's what I really want to work with residents.
I know the city has a comprehensive plan for managing all of the property in the city, and is very active at working to attract and retain businesses in the area. We have a very business-friendly climate, and we can see through the number of large companies that have made Cypress their home that we've been very successful. As we look to develop the properties that exist in the area and look for additional businesses, we need to make sure that we take into consideration a balanced approach to everything we do, that it needs to be well thought out. It's been mentioned, sales tax is the #1 revenue generator for us in the city. Companies like Costco and Shaw Carpets provide very good sales tax for us, or sales revenue for us. And so we need to look at how we can continue to build these businesses or attract these businesses, and make sure that we have a comprehensive plan that looks at the entire city and looks at ways that we can make sure we keep policies that are attractive to these businesses.
We need to be proactive in, I'm afraid of this thing, I think. Yeah. We need to be proactive here in Cypress with our future. We need to grow Cypress, but we need to grow it and keep the town-like character that Cypress is, as I've said before, and I'll say it again. We are not like a lot of the other cities. Cypress is kind of a Mayberry RFD place with technology at its tail. And we need to be able to bring in businesses that we as citizens can utilize. For instance, when I want to go somewhere for dinner, we do have some nice places here. However, the majority of my money gets spent outside of Cypress because we don't have areas that allow us to shop like the other cities around us do. We need to be proactive in building, and we need to be careful how we do it. And I'd like to see the citizens of Cypress spend their money here.
Okay, question number 4 has to do with our senior citizens, since we have a very active senior citizen community. So starting with Jay Sunday, the question is, what do you propose to better the life of senior citizens? And I would ask that each of the candidates try to keep your comments to 1 minute so we can ask as many questions as possible. Jay?
Pardon me, would you repeat that question one more time for me? Thank you.
We're talking about the senior citizen community, and the question is around what do you propose to better the life of senior citizens?
I'm one of them. Actually, you know, we do have a good senior citizens center. We have a senior citizens committee at the city level that looks after their interests. We've got to foster better and better involvement, more growth, simply because all of us are getting old. One of these days, we're all going to be getting there, and to the extent we love this city and we're going to stay here, we're going to have more of us here. And my view is that we need to have more programs that involve our senior citizens so that they constantly have things to do, whether it is bridge clubs, whether it is walking sessions, whether it is trips abroad or here or wherever. I think anything that keeps people busy keeps them happy. And I mean, I could come around with a litany of things that we should do or could do, but I'm sure a lot of those things are still already being done to the extent that we have such committees and commissions that are working on it. I would continue to support any and all activities that help our senior citizens lead better lives. Thank you.
Well, definitely being one of those senior citizens. I spend quite a bit of time at the senior center. I play bridge a couple times a week. I think we could use some improvements in that facility. I know the air conditioning is as good as it should be. We could. There's things we can do in that. We get an awful lot of people that go to that facility every day. And we need to encourage that, but make it more practical. Maybe build some more facility. Maybe the next time we put some land development, we put some more senior living in or something. But there's a lot of things we can do for the seniors. Thank you.
As a card-carrying member of AARP, you know, here's a simple one and a very simple answer for that. Why don't we ask them? They can tell us. They're the ones that will tell us how they like spending their time. And that is just one of those things. We're good at hearings and workshops. I don't know that I'd necessarily call it that, but I'd certainly bring them down, see what they'd like to do, and talk with them. There's nothing better than going to those people that are going to be most affected, most impacted, and the ones that are going to find the most joy out of that. That's specifically what I would do. Let's talk to them, see what they'd like to see, and make it happen.
That was a very good answer. One day I will be a senior citizen. I'm very thankful to the senior citizen community here in Cypress because they've helped make Cypress what it is. They were here before I was, but because of your hard work and what you've done, you've attracted me and you've attracted others, and I'm really thankful for that. But I do know that we do have a great senior citizen program, and absolutely what he said, let's listen to what you guys want. I can guess on what you guys want, but I'd love to get the input. The other thing too is we want to get you more active. We want to make the availability to get to these activities, especially city council meetings. Maybe set up some type of commute bus that picks up residents throughout the city to bring you to these things. Bring the youth, bring anybody who wants to come and partake in the city process. But once again, I'm very thankful for all your hard work, and I one day will be there too, or I hope to be there to continue making Cypress the beautiful small town feeling type community that I fell in love with. If Cypress was a woman, of course, before I met my wife, I'd marry Cypress.
All right. So I agree completely with the idea of talking to the senior citizens and seeing what your interests are and what your desires are. But until I have an opportunity to do that, as I'm sitting here, the ideas that come to my mind are, as Larry mentioned, let's make sure that the Parks and Rec programs that we have for the senior center are well supported and look for ways to increase those. I would also advocate that we make sure that we continue to run the city efficiently so that we don't have any tax increases or fee increases, so that we don't put additional burdens on the income of the senior community. And then I would also say that as we look to develop the property that we have in the city, that we should consider making additional senior housing part of the mix of what we go forward with our plans.
My friend June would say more bingo. She's 89. She's very proficient in bingo. However, I would like to see one day here in Cypress a senior citizen center like the one that was proposed to us some time back that we did not get. We currently have a senior citizen apartment complex over at Lincoln and Ridley, and it's a nice complex. It's also a revenue generating complex for our school district. Having said that, we have a lot of senior citizen activities at our senior citizen center. But ultimately, would be to have a place for the citizens that have lived here for years and years, who living now for them are very large homes, are hard for them to maintain, but they don't want to leave Cypress. So it would be something that Cypress would need, and does need, is a center that they can move to and spend the rest of their life here.
I've been volunteering at the senior center since 2007. I've actually served on the senior commission as well. I was chairman of the senior commission last year. I do deliver home delivered meals to seniors in our community. I've been doing that since 2007 as well. And volunteering at the senior center for special events like the resource fair, serving congregate meals in the lunchroom is extremely eye-opening. And with our aging population, it's vital that we look after this special population. And what is difficult to do is we have seniors who are 65 and we have seniors who are 95. And they all need different things. So it's certainly a challenge to find ways to serve them through programs and services that meet the needs of the young old and the old. But I certainly know that our senior center does an amazing job. The feedback I've received from other people who come from other cities to attend special events, dance classes, our senior clubs are extremely busy. Always rave that we have the best senior center around. Thank you.
And question number 5, we'll start with Larry on this one. The question is, what is your gift that you would uniquely bring to the city council? I would also say probably skill sets, but gift could also be the word.
Well, I bring an awful lot of experience, both in business and in the city. Like I mentioned before, I was Northrop for 42 years. A lot of experience in business and dealing with people, managing budgets. I know the needs of the city. Volunteer in policing 12 years, traffic commission, all those things made me well qualified.
Before you begin, if our candidates could speak directly into the microphone, some of our people in the back can't hear quite as well.
Hear a little better.
If you could,
Hear a little better. Back up
a little bit better. So just as a thought.
You want to back up in the microphone a little?
So this is better. I've never been one told that I needed to speak louder, especially if I knew there was a donut on the other side of it. But having said that, good evening. So my special skill set, listening. I can tell you that and I brought that up at my opening statement, you know, I'm a person who has listened and listened well. And a part of that is as a mediator too, finding a resolve to many difficult situations. I'll tell you, all you have to do is apply for office, run, put up some signs, and put yourself out there and listen to what some of the citizens have to say. And I'm going to tell you, there's some pretty feisty people out there, but good for them. But that would be my skill set. You know what? Because I can listen. I can listen to not just one, I can listen to many. Like I said, I made that career out of doing that, finding resolve to some very difficult situations. And not every one of our situations is that difficult. But that would be my skill set, because it's easy when things are a piece of cake. It's that much more difficult when it's a very difficult subject to deal with. Thank you.
You know what, I'm going to go back a little bit to the last question regarding senior citizens. One thing that I totally forgot to mention was, I think everybody here remembers Measure L. And some of the candidates up here are saying that the current council is doing a good job of what they're doing. I was very confused with what they were putting out there. And that was a promise to us, or it made it seem like they were going to build a senior citizen community. Well, back to this question. What gifts can I bring? I know how to use one of these. You can call me, you can text me, you can ask me any questions. I'm totally open. I want to bring that transparency to Cypress. We just need to know what's going on in the city. We don't need to be confused. And sometimes I'm going to get confused, and I'd love to sit down with you guys and understand things a little better. It's something that it's totally accessible right now, either through the media, through social media. I use Facebook daily, Twitter. I'm very familiar with it. I will hear you. It's going to flash. It's going to ring. That's the one gift, is we all listen, but are we able to actually do what we're asked to do? And I promise you that if you come to me and ask me to do something, and it's the majority what the residents want, I'm going to do that.
I think one of the biggest skills that I would bring is the ability to plan for the future, to look out and analyze or understand the environment that the city is operating in, and the opportunities and the challenges that lie ahead, and then figure out what course of action would be best for the city to make sure that we continue to manage well and efficiently. So I have a lot of experience in doing that, in planning for the future. And I also, as I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of experience working with information and data, and making sure that when I make a decision that I've listened to all sides of the argument. I've weighed the pluses and minuses, the benefits and the decrements for both sides of the decision, and then reach a decision after a well thought out, well analyzed process.
I think the gift that I would bring, unique gift that I would bring to the city council, is my passion for this city. My desire to see it be nothing but the best. An honest city, a city that all of us that live here can be proud of. I know I'm proud to say I live here at Cypress. This is where I grew up, and this is where I want to pass on from. My passion for this city, this is my home. This is your home, and I'm very grateful to be here, and because of that, I only want to see the very best decisions made to keep it that way and to make it an even better place to live.
I believe I bring a unique perspective I would bring to the city council, in that my experiences both in the business world as well as working in the elderly care sector, I really have worked with all ages, all people, all backgrounds, where it's grounded me to be a person that can listen and understand all generations and all people coming from different places. And I can use that and communicate and build relationships with you, the residents of Cypress, as well as my fellow city councilmen and women, city staff, as well as local elected officials from other cities. I think it's important to work with officials from other cities as well and pool our resources. I believe another thing I bring is that I'm a critical thinker. I am a researcher. I am a worker bee. If you have a question for me, I'm going to take the time to find the answer, and I'm not going to come to a conclusion before knowing all the information available. Thank you.
I'm a lawyer by training. I'm trained to be a good listener, a good analyzer, and a good communicator. I learned a long time ago. When somebody told me, Jay, you got 2 ears and 1 tongue, I said, yes, I listen twice as much as I talk. Currently, I serve as a temporary judge of the Orange County Superior Court. and I'm routinely confronted with difficult situations that need to be resolved within the confines of the law and resolved in a fair manner. I'm trained to do that. I want to be able to use the skills that I've learned over my lifetime for the benefit of this city. I think I will do and I can do that. Thank you much.
Okay, question number 6 is directed at Paulo first. Have you accepted, will you accept, or do you have any verbal agreements to accept campaign donations or PAC money late in your campaign from special interests such as the racetrack or property developers? Please specify where you're getting your donations.
Well, the answer to the question is yes. I have accepted monies from PAC funds. I've accepted monies from the Cypress Police Officers Association because that's where I come from. And they can't speak any more of the confidence that they have in me. I'm a person that, having been there 25 plus years, know very much about what the department is about, what it needs, and have an idea of where it needs to go and how to best get it there. So to accept monies from them, I have, and it is listed. We have all of these forms that have to be filled out, and it is already clearly documented. And again, that isn't anything that is hidden. It is, I have a website, which that information is out there also available, and they're listed as well. As far as developers, as far as, what were some of the others? I'm sorry, I missed that. But just, it just depends on where it's coming from. I'll look at the totality of the circumstances. It's like anything else. It's like deciding on Q&R. If somebody's coming to me with monies against Q&R, probably not, because I'm very much in favor of those. So it just depends on the totality of the circumstances, but yes. So will I list them, and do I, and have I? Yes.
Sorry, it's a daddy's boy and he kept crying. And I saw some of you, like, hey, what's that? But can you repeat the question one more time?
Have you accepted or will you accept any contributions of PAC money, special interests, property developers? Please specify where you're getting your donations.
Hell no. That's my answer. I think when you start accepting money from certain groups, they expect something out of you. Think about it. We all have friends, and I think when people give you money, I don't know, some of us up here have gotten thousands of dollars from political action committees. I think if somebody loaned me $1,000, I think they expect something out of me. I don't know how many people here have been given $1,000 and not accept or expect anything back. So I'm not taking any of that type of money. I don't know, it just greatly upsets me that, political action campaigns make a big, they influence our politicians greatly. And I'm not taking any of that money. Like I said earlier, I'm financing this myself. And if anybody wants to help me with $1 here or $1 there, or even better, knocking at doors, go to cypressmike.com and contact me, because I need all the help I can.
All right. First, I'd like to say that my wife and I are our biggest contributors. We've donated $10,500 to our campaign so far, and we've raised another $1,100 through individual campaigns and service donations. If I look at the special interests or political action committees, I would say I would look at if somebody wants to come and support me or work with me on something that I am passionate about and something that I am already a supporter of and working towards, and they're not influencing me and making a change, and this is what's important. It's something that I'm already working on, something I already believe, something that I'm supportive of. If somebody wants to partner with me and work with me in something like that and not try to influence and change me, then I would be willing to work with a person like that. And if a financial contribution was part of that process and part of that partnership, and we were agreed, and we weren't trying to change what I believe in and what I'm working towards, then I would be willing to work with and accept that support.
I've accepted no money from anyone. I have a very small antiques and collectibles business here in Cypress, right over by Kohl's at Keepers. had a very small savings account. And I've spent almost all of it, about $6,000 on my campaign. I have not accepted money from anyone. I've cashed no checks from anyone. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want to be beholden to anyone. I had people want to give me $100 here, $100 there, but I would tell them flat out, if you're giving me money because you think I might be able to do something for you in the future, don't give it to me. Because I have to be able to make decisions based on what's good for the citizens of Cypress. I can't show favoritism. So not a stick of gum, not a soda from anyone, because I want to be able to have a clear conscience, and I want to be able to say, I can't do something because you gave me something. In the past, we've seen PAC money come to candidates, and it's caused them a lot of grief. It's caused them a lot of problems, and perception is big. And so whether monies that people got in the past from PAC monies, whether their decisions were swayed or not because of that, the perception, it just was negative on them. So not a cent from anybody but my little bank account.
I'm voting for Nancy.
I'm not accepting any money from any PACs, special interests, or developers. My family were personally financing part of my campaign, and then I am accepting individual donations from people who believe in me and believe that I'm the right choice for Cypress City Council. Thank you.
I think I mentioned that in my opening statement. My campaign is completely self-funded. No money from developers, no PACs, no racetrack, no anybody for that matter. I believe that gives me the independence that the city council needs. We need that if I'm elected, my decisions on the city council will be based solely, and I mean solely, on what is in the best interest of Cypress and the residents of the city, period.
I have not accepted any money from any special interest anywhere. I have one very close friend that donated a few bucks to me. The rest I put in myself. I just don't believe I should do that. I think I've got to be independent and do what I think is right for the city without any interference. Thank you.
Question number 7 is directed first to Mike Chapman. What is your understanding of measures Q&R, and do you support or oppose these measures?
First question, I don't support a yes on Q&R. My vote's going to be a no, a big fat no. Q&R is going to...
What's Q&R?
Oh, was the question to explain what Q&R was? Okay. Afterwards, I'll explain to you, I promise. It's a real mess. So I take up all my time. But all right, back to that Q&R. I'm going to say no. That's going to change current spaces that we have that are currently only zoned for public use only. We only have so much public use land here in Cypress. How much of it are we going to give away? Think about that. So I'm just going to tell you my vote is a no. And if you want to talk about it afterwards, I'd love to get together and explain it better. And I apologize for that.
All right, measure Q&R. What they're asking the residents to do is to vote to change the zoning for 2 school properties, Mackey School and the school headquarters, to allow the development of single-family housing and open park space. And so I've considered this extensively and look at the benefits that I believe Q&R will provide to the city in terms of new housing developments, which will provide new places for folks to move into, It will help raise the property values in the surrounding areas. If you look at the Mackey School, it's been shut down for 33 years, and it's a very blighted area. So allowing the development of 47 new single-family homes in a 3-acre park that will be available for all the residents to use, I think is a great benefit to the city. Similarly, Measure R will allow the development of the school headquarters property, which has parts of it are quite dilapidated as well. So I would be in favor of supporting both yes vote on both Q and R.
I have a bachelor's degree in early childhood development, just shy of my master's in teaching, 2 classes. I am for Q and I am for R, because we are looking at an area, Mackey School, that has been empty for 33 years. It's derelict, it's blighted, there's a lot of drug activity that takes place over there. I've talked to people that live in that area, and they would love to see a change. Their real estate is going to go up. We are going to get a 2.9 acre park from the city in this residence. It's going to bring in families that can afford the smaller homes, newer homes. It's a win-win situation. If we, it's my understanding, if we swap for the developer swaps the land and we buy land elsewhere or create something that generates money for our schools, our children are going to win. And yes, I am on Q as well.
The ballot measure is about rezoning, and if any of you have been by Mackey School recently, you would certainly see the condition it's in. It's been sitting that way for 33 years. And talking with people in that area, they don't want to look at that any longer either. And my concern is that if the measure is not passed and the rezoning doesn't take place, Mackey School is going to sit and look like that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. It's not going to get any better, folks. We're paying $80,000 a year to maintain that school site, and it looks terrible, and it's bringing down property values on that area, etc. I am so pleased that these measures are on the ballot so that we, the people, can decide the future of these 2 properties. Our schools need help. California keeps cutting back on funding to our schools. We need to look for new ways to look for funding. So please remember to go to the vote on November 4th and vote on these important measures.
For any ballot measure, the litmus test for me is whether there is sufficient information to make an informed decision. In this particular case of Q&R, I don't believe there is enough information out there. I have a number of questions that are still unanswered, despite my having done my due diligence in seeking answers from the parties. In one instance, on the question of valuation of the exchanged properties, one school district official who should have been able to answer the question said to me, they won't know the answers until after the vote. And my thought was, you know, here you are, you're going to the people of this city and you're asking for their vote. Don't you think you need to give them all the information that they need to have before they can make an informed decision? I'm disappointed in the process.
So what would you vote?
Let me answer the question by telling you that I agree with the previous council's decision that this was not a council issue. It was up to the people of Cypress to make the decision on which way to vote on this. It's not a council issue. And I would not try to influence your vote one way or the other in telling you how I would vote. Thank you.
So Q&R, I mentioned already earlier that yes, I'm very much in favor of Q&R. I think Ms. Berry put in a lot of very good points about it. I think the only one that she talks about is the 80,000 actually comes, the school district is spending those monies to try to just keep that property. And those are $80,000 that can be spent elsewhere. But your monies are also being spent there. As a police officer, I can't tell you how many times we had to respond to those properties. I've heard some residents talk about the fact that, well, you know, you could renovate that school. Folks, the only way you're gonna get that school back in service is to flatten it with a bulldozer and start over. There's nothing really there to be saved. The bottom line is the school district has to look to the future. All we're asking the voters for to look at is, again, this issue, that as part of the plan amendment, that this is a zoning change. That's it. There has been a lot of information out there. There has been a very thorough, as far as I'm concerned, looking into it. And for the school district to help look out for its health and its future, for the kids, to provide those extracurricular activities, the technology for the future, Q&R, it's a great one.
Okay, we have time for one more question, then we'll start again with John. Did you sign the Code of Fair Campaign Practices from Division 20, Chapter 5, Election Code? And it's really a yes or no answer.
Yes, I did.
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 Yes.
Is this a question that gives me 30 seconds? Or a minute? Right? It is a question, right?
If you wish.
No, I didn't. Right? I didn't sign it because I didn't understand it clearly and I didn't have time to hire a lawyer, unfortunately. But the reason I didn't sign it too is because some of the things that I saw in there is if I find out some information that's negative about one of these other candidates, or there's something that could affect your decision on what I find, I can't disclose that to you. And I don't know what kind of practice that is. If I know something bad about one of these guys, I want to make sure to be able to notify the residents. I want them to be well informed. I'm not looking for anything bad on these guys, and I haven't really found anything, and I don't plan on sharing anything bad on these guys. But I want to be able to make a free choice as to whether or not I want to talk to you people and let you know what I've found out about them. They've told me what their beliefs are, the way they voted in the past, and the way they've done business, and who they're associated with, who they're getting money from, all these things. But to sign that would shut my mouth up. And you can tell that I have a big mouth.
We've finished with the questions and answers of the program. We're now going to go into closing statements. We're going to go in reverse order. So, Mr. Shaw.
Oh, yeah. Up here?
Minute and a half.
I forgot to ask my wife for my notes, so I'm just going along with the program. So I'm sorry I'm not reading off anything. I'm writing down, I'm trying to copy some of his stuff. It looks pretty good. But the truth is I love Cypress. I'm glad to be able to tell people that I'm a resident of Cypress. And it's our future that's going to be hurt by any decisions that our city council makes today. Yeah, it might hurt us, but it's going to hurt the future even more. The whole public space issue, like I said, how much public space do we have? It could be used to bring a new community center for children. It could be used for a church, any type of activities, a park. There's so many uses that we could do there. And to give it to developers to build, these tightly close homes with no parking, just the ones on their driveway, it's ridiculous. You can look at the plans are already there. So I didn't get Jason Londy's answer, and as a voter, I'd like to find out what is your vote on Q&R?
As of right now, it would be a no.
Okay, because that was the question. I answered it, so, all right. This is closing statements, how much is it? All right. So I'm concerned with the future of Cypress. There's a lot of things that our current city council members have done that are positive. They're great at handling our finances. And I'm really proud that when an economic type of crisis that we've gone through, we weren't really affected too much by it. And that's because of great planning. I want to continue that. But just remember, I want to be accessible. I want to hear what you want. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the future's going to bring. But I want to be there with you to help make those decisions. So please vote for me, Mike Shopman, number 2 on the ballot. and I'm #1 for Cypress, or whatever the whole thing they said. But thank you very much, and go to cypressmike.com.
Next candidate, Paul Morales.
Thank you. You know, I'll use a little bit of my time to go back over that question referencing accepting of PAC funds. I'm going to tell you that, because it almost sounds like that's the only money that I've received. I'm going to tell you that large part of my monies have also come from individual contributors. Those are residents in the city. I've also had some from businesses within the city, and that goes to speak to that well-balanced fit that I am. I have met a lot of you, both the people and the businesses, and a lot of them have supported me, and I'm thrilled for that. But along with the PAC money and the individual contributions and the businesses is my own money. Because heaven forbid if I don't think enough of myself to put myself forward and help fund my own election here. So in my closing statement, let me just tell you this. I'm the guy that has never been afraid to ask questions. I've always been very plain speaking. I'm also that person that when something is too confusing, I'll make it so that it is easier for a lot of people to understand, which goes back to that issue that I brought up in this part of my platform, is this communication. Communication goes a long ways to a lot of things, but that's part of it. I want to continue what the councils have done in the past with this balanced approach of how to run and govern the city. I want to be very much a part of that. I look forward to all of your support, hopefully in the future, certainly November 4th. And thank you for having put up with me tonight. Thank you to both Cypress College for hosting and the Chamber for putting this together. Thank you.
Next candidate, Larry Smith. Larry?
Thank you very much. We're losing 3 very good council persons, and I feel that I have the experience, expertise, skills necessary to continue representing the citizens of Cypress for their concerns, their needs, and I will continue doing that, and can also continue having our great schools, police department, fire department, public services, all those things are very important. And I want to ensure that people know it's a great place to live, work, and raise your family. Thank you all. Please vote for me.
Next candidate, Jason.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for being here tonight and giving us the opportunity to be heard. You know, I've been walking and talking with many of our citizens over this past month. Every morning after breakfast, I get out, knock on doors. Some of you have already seen me. I intend to keep doing that until Election Day. I've learned a lot by doing that, just by talking to people. If elected, I'll seek ways in which to keep in touch with the people. It could be coffee meetings at regular intervals, booths at festivals, or maybe even continuing my walking and talking that I've been doing so far. I think it's important for council members to stay in touch with the people. I am determined to keep my finger on the pulse of the city and to vote on issues in a way that addresses Cypress residents' concerns and needs. I believe that people should be fully informed and advised of the issues confronting the city in clear, plain, unambiguous, and simple English. No gobbledygook. A democracy works best when people know what they're voting for. I promise to tell the people like it is. Thank you, and good night.
Next candidate, Stacey Barrett. Stacey?
Thank you, and I'd like to thank
thank the Chamber of Commerce and Cypress College for hosting this event tonight. It's a wonderful way for all of us to get our message out to you. I've been out walking the neighborhoods for many weeks now in the heat, and I have to say that I felt blessed before I ran for city council, and now meeting so many residents that live here, I can't believe how blessed we are to live here. We have such wonderful residents who care about our city, and coming across more and more individuals who have lived here for 30, 40 years and can't imagine living anywhere else. And what I want to make sure is that our city remains fiscally sound so we can offer the services that all of us have become accustomed to. We don't need any major fixes right now, maybe a little refining as we go, but we need to stay the course. I'm committed and will work hard for the residents of Cypress, so you can rest assured that the city is in good hands now and in the future. I will treat our taxpayers' money dollars with respect, and will put aside myself for the good of the community. Please remember to exercise your right to vote on November 4th. It's so important to get out there and have all of our voices heard. I respectfully ask that you cast your ballot for Stacey Berry for Cypress City Council. Thank you for your time.
Next candidate, Nancy Kellenstad. Nancy?
So I want to say again, and this is in no particular order, education, safety, and communication with the citizens of Cypress. These are some of the things that make an outstanding city, and we have to move forward. We have to progress in all the areas, in all these areas in order for the city of Cypress to grow and continue to be a wonderful city that it is. So I would appreciate your vote.
Our next candidate, John. John?
Thank you very much. All right, you folks all have an important decision to make. As has been mentioned, we have some strong leadership leaving, and you need to decide among the 7 of us who you believe will be the next group of leaders to take the city into the future. If I'm on the council, I want to work to make sure that first we ensure that our schools remain top-notch. We have a great education system, and I want to make sure that it stays that way. I want to make sure that we continue to support public safety and have strong public safety and ensure that the city is safe. We have a great place. City, you can go anywhere at any time. It's a great place to live, and I want to ensure that that stays that way. I also want to make sure we've talked a lot about managing the resources, and those resources are your resources. And so the resources that you give, you want to make sure that we manage them well, and we continue to have balanced budgets and enjoy the amenities that we have here in the city, and make sure that we don't have to raise taxes or increase fees in any way. And lastly, I want to continue to support the strong business environment we have. We have an enviable position here. We have a great business base, a strong tax revenue base from the businesses that we have, and I want to ensure that we continue to support the business, to attract and retain businesses, and enjoy the prosperity that is provided by that business community. So I'm number 4 on the ballot. I believe I'll be number 1 for you to serve you. Thank you very much.
I want to thank each of our candidates. Done a great job. I do want to ask the audience, what were you doing 8 years ago? 8 years ago, 3 people in this room were on the same dais, and they were elected to our city council: Doug Bailey, Leroy Mills, and Prakash Narayan. And I want to publicly thank you for your term of service. All 3 of you served twice as mayor of our city, and I think the city is better for it. So I want to thank you for that. And for all of our candidates, wonderful job. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I think people here gotten a better understanding of people who are going to be representing our city for the next 4 years, joining Rob Johnson, Mary Ellen Yark. So we hope that you have a good time at the ballot box. Remember, it's November 4th, and we'll know if you didn't vote. So have a good rest of the evening.
Ed, just a reminder, there's going to be campaign literature on the tables out back behind the building. So the candidates have brought campaign literature. We asked them not to put it out until it's over, and that will be out there on the table and back, and you can meet the candidates afterwards. Thank you for coming.
Thank you to the students for helping us out. Our timekeepers, great job there. Thank you to the college. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You did a nice job. It's the tedious one, huh? Good job. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. It was like I could see they weren't catching your eye.
Yeah.
Jump up and
Yeah. Well, you made it work.